Welcome to my resolutions for 2021 video. I just wanted to start off by saying that because 2020 has been kind of a clusterfuck, um, I didn't get a whole lot done in as far as my resolutions because I just looked it back over and ooh, it abysmal. But there were some things that I did very well. So I'm just going to kind of go over my 2020 resolutions and then I'm going to actually look into my 2021 resolutions. The first one I have is finish book 3 and 4 of the Reaper series. I'm going to give myself a half point for this because I did finish Stand Up, Obtain Control, which is now available for order for ebook and paperback, as well as the first two in the series. But I did not even start number 4. There's a big reasoning for that. And it actually goes with the second one, which is oh no, that's a different one. Never mind. But the reason that I never went back to number 4, for right now at least, it's sort of shelved at this point, is because about about June, when everything was kind of going up in smoke, I was having a really hard time with Stand Up, Obtain Control. And I couldn't figure out why I was feeling like this, but it wasn't until I really took a good look at what I was doing and seeing that it wasn't making me happy. And the reason being is that what I was writing was ultimately good for me personally, but it wasn't doing anything to really be in a genre that I love, which is adult romance in the LGBT series. Now, I will say that the Reaper series is LGBT, but it is more targeted at young adults. And ultimately, from the beginning, I wrote it as a way to give stories that I would have wanted to read when I was that age, when I was younger. So, yeah, it's a passion project, but it's not one that I am super invested in as far as being able to make money off of it. And the communities that I'm in are not in that kind of realm. Now, there are a lot of YA readers, and I will more than likely be tapping those later on, but I just wasn't happy with what I was doing. So I decided to pivot and actually start work on the Hunter X Slayer series, which is now finished. I just have to do my main 3 months of editing. So, and I'm much happier now. And it took actually reaching out to several of my author friends on Facebook for me to realize that I was seriously burned out with this particular project. And a lot of them said that they normally do trilogies because by the third book you're ready to move on to something else. And I completely understand that. So the Reaper series isn't done. I still have 4 books I need to do for it, but it is a series that I do need to take a kind of an extended break because I really only had the first 3 books completely figured out. I know little bits and pieces about the other ones, but nothing concrete. So, what I'm basically going to be doing is I'm going to try at some point to get book 4 at minimum outlined, but I don't know if I'll be writing it. If I am going to be drafting it, then it's going to be a side project only. It's not going to be a main project for a while. So, we'll see how that goes. The second one I have is finish 5 first drafts of the Hunter X Slayer series. Oh, you sweet summer child, you, at 2019. Ooh, I legitimately thought I was going to be able to finish 5 drafts, which is understandable considering that I finished the Hunter and the Cultists original draft shortly after I started drafting up the edits for Stand Up, Obtain Control. But then I switched over to actually doing the Hunter and the Cultist as a main project, and I have not touched the sequel that I started, The Spy and the Slayer, since then because I didn't want to work on that one before I finished the first one. So, yeah. But that one's going to be the next main series book that I'm working on, and I am super stoked. I've already started making notes of what the story's actually going to entail, so I'm super excited. Have the rest of the Reaper series outlined. Again, did not happen. Might have some information by the end of 2021. I hope that the way that I'm kind of making my novel writing outline process better is going to help me be able to do that, but we'll find out later. Outline side stories. Again, same problem. But this time I actually do have some progress on it. I have outlined and started drafting the Equinox book 1, which is Sabotage, and also the superhero series, where the first book is Wind and Steel. I have started drafting out both book 1s, and so far they're going good. I'm still kind of figuring out my outlining process and my drafting process. So we'll see how everything goes with that. This one kind of hurts. Read 50 books. My reading year has been kind of shite because I only read 25 things. I say things because 4 of those things were the same thing. I ended up reading a book 4 times over the course of the year, and it's ultimately you're not going to be able to see this because I'm not doing a best and worst this year, and probably never again. But the main reason that I have had such a shitty reading year is because in the course of 5 different books I tried reading, I DNF'd all 5 of them in quick succession of each other. Nothing from that point on has held my attention long enough that I could actually finish it without it being certain areas or literally pushing myself to finish. So that's why the last several books that I read were either memoirs or things that I could just listen to on a whim, because I was, one, struggling with my editing and drafting process, but 2, I was also in a heavy reading slump. So, it was bad. So, yeah, that's not going to happen. Start exercising. I actually started off the year really, really well. I was going out for a walk every day, and I was really enjoying it. I was feeling a little better about myself. And then COVID hit, and we were all put into shelter in place. So I couldn't go out. Basically, my parents and I didn't feel like it was safe enough for us to go out too often. So I ended up not going out, and it was also during that time that I hit that really big depression spell with working on Stand Up, Obtain Control. So it was sort of a culmination of everything going on, but things are going to change. And the last one is continue to find myself, and this one is actually one that I have worked on, and I've actually done a really good job of it as far as I know. One of the big things that I've continued to do is try to get into counseling, because if I remember correctly, it was at the end of last year. The counselor that I had been seeing for almost 5 years was getting too expensive for me to afford, and we tearfully said goodbye, and I wasn't going to be seeing her anymore. So then there was a period of several months where because of everything going on, it wasn't practical for me to try and look into counseling again because I couldn't see them in person, and infrastructures to do online were not the best. So finally, by about August, September, I was really needing to find someone. So I ended up finding another counselor, and we talked for several months. But then she graduated out of the program that she was in, which kept her prices low. and I could no longer afford her, especially because of everything going on. So I ended up reaching out to another counselor who I've only had one session with her, and she's already making far more strides than with the other girl. Like, I love the other girl. She was super nice. But being a student, because these are student counselors. Basically, they're people who are working to get their degree, and this gives them some hands-on experience for actual counselor work. But there wasn't a lot of like growth with the second one. With this third one, I've already really started to make actual changes, especially with my feelings of self-worth, which, if my self-worth isn't good and my feelings about myself aren't good, then my ADHD and my anxiety and depression tend to latch onto that and take over. So if I can get that on lock, for the most part, I'm good. So I'm reading a couple of really good books, and I'm hoping that this next year will be much better. So those were my 2020 resolutions, and now we're going to kind of move into the 2021. For my writing, I want to obviously publish The Hunter and the Cultist. I would like to have that out, I believe, by April. I think that's when I marked down that would be when my edits would finish, is April. And then I'd like to have at least one of my Reaper series all ready to go for audiobooks by the end of this year. I'm being a little kinder on myself because in previous years I've been very harsh on myself, and I want to stop doing that because it doesn't do me any good to beat myself up about that kind of thing. So I'd like to have at least one of the books ready to go by the end of the year for audiobooks and actually have a narrator picked out. I would also like to maybe be done with one of my side series, either Sabotage or Wind and Steel. I'd like to have at least one of those completely drafted out and ready for them to become main series potential. And I believe, if I have my notes right, I should have The Spy and the Slayer ready for final edits by the end of the year. Here's hoping. So that's another one of my resolutions, is basically to have that one in final edits ready to go for the following year. When it comes to my reading goals, I'm going to be very honest. I don't know if see, here's the hard part, because I have a list of books that I want to read, and I'm going to do a video of those in a bit, but I'm worried. I'm worried that I'm going to continue to be in this slump and not be able to get through these books. So I have enlisted the help of my friend Lux, and hopefully we will be able to actually get a couple of buddy reads down, because they bought me a book last year and they also want to read it. And then they bought me 2 books this year that they both want to read, and I got them 2 books that I want to read. So that's a total of 5 books that we're both like super excited about and we both want to read. So if I can at least do those 5, I'd be happy. But realistically, I'm going to set my reading goal at 20. If I can at least get to 20, I'll be happy. I already have one that I'm working on right now, which is, I don't remember what the title is because it's on my phone, because it's on Audible, but it is The Power of Compassion, Self-Compassion. It's really good. And so far, it is way more helpful than I thought it would be. So there's that. Uh, I'm also going to be having a resolution to walk more, because for Christmas, me and my family all got these step counters, and it's also tracking my sleep because my sleep is crap. Um, but I want to be able to get better shape. Maybe not be like skinny, because I've basically come to the acceptance that I will never be completely skinny, but I just want to feel better about myself. And just overall feel better. I also want to eat better because I'm a super picky eater and I don't want to continue to let that ruin my life. Maybe not ruin, it's just run my life. And I'm kind of going to steal the same last resolution, which is to continue to find myself. In the last month or so, I have been looking more into the way that I am, both personally and psychologically. And something that I've always kind of toyed around with, it's actually something that is very prevalent with my main character Piper in my Reaper series. And it is coming to the acceptance that I'm gender fluid. I still use female pronouns, at least for right now. That might change in the future. But I've never felt completely female. I've also never felt completely male, but I feel more comfortable in masculine situations and personality than I do female sometimes. A lot of my life I felt like that. And I want to explore that during next year. I've already talked to my husband and my mom, and I've talked to Lux about it. And it's a little scary because I remember the little bit of fallout when I came out as bisexual in high school. And I really don't want that to happen again. But I have to be honest about who I am. So it's kind of why this came up. Because I grew out my hair for a lot of 2019 and 2020 because I wanted to try and be more feminine. But the further that I got down that road, the more it didn't feel like me. And I ended up also just always pulling it up because I didn't like it being in my face. And I didn't like it being so unmanageable that I couldn't do anything about it. And this year I also tried colors that I ordinarily would not have tried, but I wanted to. And a hairstyle that I have been wanting to get for so long. And I feel so much better with it. And just being more myself. And that's what I want to continue to do in 2021. And I am super happy that I have continued to be able to produce videos. Even in batch filming, it's a lot of work to be able to batch film a whole bunch of videos, get them all set up to be put out there. And I'm happy that I've been able to do that. I may have a very small community right here of 33 subscribers, but I'm happy that I'm able to do something with this outlet. I do have several projects that I am working on. As you saw, there is a episode of a podcast that me and Lux are trying to work on, and it's not working in the way that we want it to. So we're looking into other options to be able to do it, possibly through Twitch. But we'll see what happens with that. So be on the lookout for all of that, and I will be happy to keep you all informed. So thank you all for watching, and I hope that your 2021 starts off much better than 2020 has. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.